Muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, and as always, enjoying family. Again, gracias Tony for allowing me to get on your platform. Stories written by a current prisoner to share my stories. Now, please do show some love to Tony by hitting that like button and supporting his channel. Now, with this said, I would like to start off by saying that in the next recording I do, right after this one, I will be touching up on everyone's questions. I have been taking notes on them, just like I had given everyone my palabra I would. For for this story, I did wanted to touch on a question someone asked. Uh, it had to do with he's asking if I knew any stories about the camaradas or anything that had to do with the 818 car or San Fernando, and that it didn't have to be señores. So I'm gonna tell you a little experience I had. I didn't have no type of mix in this, but I was there at this moment. So this happened back when I went out. When I went out to court, and I happened to be in Palm Hall. I was there in like I told you guys my story when Tigre and Frank B were there. There were also other carnales there, as camaradas. One of the carnales that was there, because he was going out to court too, was, the senor Smokey from B&E. Now, on this yard, there was actually three good camaradas from San Fernando, from the Valle. One was Shy Boy from Pacas, Latin Times, and the other one was Shady from Columbus, and Travieso from Landale Street. Now, there has they had problems, Travieso and Shady from Columbus, because I'm not really too familiar with their territory and their streets, but I guess they don't get along. So they had a couple. It didn't come down to to getting them up, but they had gotten a couple back and forth wording with against each other, and they basically got their ears smacked back, que se pusieran bien, because that's not permitted. Now, this is another perfect example for those that are on the calles, to take notes. You're on the streets, claiming your hood, doing everything you have to do for your hood, you know, and the ones you're beefing with on the streets, once you hit the system, you're not gonna be able to do it no more. But anyways, so they got their ears smacked back, and Shy Boy had lost an amapil, so they were basically waiting for the next removal, or hands on, or which there was no hands on in Palm Hall. Basically whoever had to get touched was gonna get touched with a piece, with a filero. So it went on like that, and I'll be sincere with you. The all three camaradas, they were firme, They had a lot of heart and a lot of. I'm not gonna say clecha because they were like me, At this moment, you know, I'm not gonna say I had like a gang of clecha, but I was aware of what I had to do and how I had to conduct myself. So time went on, and it's like the little events that I told you guys about, those two pilis happened throughout this time, and then Sambato from he was from Pico Rivera, you know. Yeah, he was from Pico Rivera. They called him Sleepy. Now I don't know what this vato had done in Pelican Bay, but for some reason they wanted stealing him. So as I stated, the camaradas from the valley they had that mission to pull. So which on the next yard, we all knew, that we were out to get out there, you know, say cubo to the camaradas, to the pilis, and line up, get a rutina on. Then after the rutina, we had about 10 minutes, cause as I stated, Tigre, he was he wanted to go the whole yard, doing rutina, but in this time he was gonna give us 10 minutes to get around, pass down my peels to where they needed to go, you know, and then the camaradas were gonna go ahead and handle that. So it went down like that, and sure enough, the camaradas moved on them, and they went to town on them. Um, I'm not gonna say they got the vato like they were supposed to, cause they didn't, cause for one, the vato had a lot more colmillo to in those type of things, like I stated, he was already slammed in Pelican Bay, so he had been around, so he got his in, plus it was a checada. It wasn't really, uh, I'm taking your career thing, so he knew he had to win. He had to defend himself. So this happened, and basically the camaradas they took care of what they needed to take care of to basically get in with the peelies from all that, you know, barking to each other, back and forth to each other. Excuse me. So this happened, but the thing is, that for some reason they just couldn't stop, man. Like I stated, I know they're enemies on the streets, but I don't know to what length of enemies, because I do understand that in LA it's a lot different than where I come from, and there's a lot of neighborhoods all around, they're real close tight, so they just couldn't stop, man. They just went back and forth with each other, and it came to that they got disciplined to the point, rutina wise, then money wise, then one day at yard I remember Smoking went up to him and told him like look, you guys cleaned up your act, cause I appreciate what you vatos did for me, but it ain't gonna be tolerated no more, cause there's other camaradas on this yard, and you guys are putting out a narrative that it's okay for homies to be acting like this, and you're in presence of us, you know, as you guys know, the Pili's always amo God Almighty, So this happened, man, and I'll be sincere, Shady, he was he was black, even though he liked to say he wasn't. He used to like to say he was Cuban, but I used to tell him, "Shut up, fool." But anyways, that's not even to the case. But I just thought it was funny whenever he used to try to come and say he was Cuban. But the one thing about Shady, man, that man, he had a lot of clecha, man. He had a good mind on his head. The Avieso, he had a, you could tell he got taught in his neighborhood to some extent, but he was younger, wilder, and I guess, man, that his pride was bigger than the program, or he thought he was gonna be able to get away with it. That you know, he went out to yard and he took off on Shady. You know, the thing is that, well, me personally, when I know I'm gonna do something like that, that's, you're hitting a brick wall because you ain't gonna walk away from that clean. So I would have at least went out there with a piece and, you know, would have hood banged it the right way. But he didn't. He just hands on. So, which in this case, you knew it was suicide for your career. You're gonna be done. After being told to behave so many times, and you even got sent on a mission, and you ignore that request, and you still were man enough to put hands on this individual, or try to at least. You were done. But here's the kicker. Somehow he and Smokey from B&E, they crossed paths. I don't know if it was in the cages in medical. I don't know where, but the point is that Smokey was telling him, come out, come out and face things as a man, just like you went out there and just basically told me F you. So, Travieso being young, he basically just laughed and he straight up said, look, I know what's gonna happen. Now, if I wanted to do that, I'll do it like this. And he straight told him, F you and F everything you stand for. Straight up. And after that, I guess Carnal didn't say nothing more. But when he came out to yard the next time, he was he was mad, to say the least. And he knew Shy Boy owed something, so he started requesting for him to have someone from Travieso Hood touch him with him. So, they eventually did. They touched them with him, and Smokey started requesting for he knew he wasn't going to be able to touch Travieso, but that he wanted something that was going to hurt him, which, it was a carnal, or, maybe a primo, something close to him. Keep an eye on this, this is what I focus my stories on, how this Billy don't even know if Travieso got primos, carnales, and that's one. Two, he don't know if they're sureños and they're in good standings, or but see, he don't ask that. He asks find out who they are, something that's gonna hurt him. So basically, he's gonna take out his anger towards Travieso with somebody that has no type of relationship with what had occurred between them, right? So I I don't know if Travieso did or not, have family in the city, or it was just it got back to his neighborhood, what had happened, and what it was behind, and his neighborhood, even though they knew that he wasn't gonna be okay no more amongst the causa, or at least in the sureño causa, they knew he wasn't in the wrong. and they basically answered to to Smokey that they couldn't find nobody. They didn't have nobody. So you know, the Pili got hot, to be sincere, and basically he said okay. So he did his thing. The next best thing was, get up Mosca and have this barrio green lighted, just for the simple fact they couldn't take care of that for them. That's uh that's what this Pili's anger was. But here's what's funny to me personally. He got disrespected. He felt so insulted that he was gonna go to that extent to touch a family member, to hurt him, or even greenlighted the neighborhood to, basically to touch a nerve with Travieso once he found out, or at least turn his hood against Travieso good for now. But I guess, and I'm just guessing. I don't know this for facts. That Landale, they were doing their thing and they had Feria put away. So within a week, they told Mosca, how can we pay it off? And I don't know what the agreement there was and how the payout was, but basically they paid Mosca to remove that green light. So here's a perfect example on how they have so much greed, or they could care less about each other, even though they're carnales in the same clica, because at that time Mosca, he could have cared less what Smokey was going through. He was going to catch in on it, and he removed the green light. And it's just another funny story on how, for one, it's facts when they tell you that when you go into prison, you're not your own man no more. That's done. All that freedom when you're, like I stated before, when you're on the streets, running around, doing things for your neighborhood, you know, helping out those that are there with you to the fullest. All that's gone, man. Even in county, you hit county and you still have that little wiggle room to really, maintain underwater and just do you. In prison, there's none of that no more. It's either you get with their program or they're gonna figure out a way to touch you. And this was in the beginning of my term. So throughout the years, it got a lot worse, as you guys have noticed from the stories that I have put out there. They started attacking family and like really on the open. Over here it was like more discreet. Like they try to go out for, even if it was a family member or whatever, they try to go for those that were man. But throughout the years, it all changed gacho. They started going after wife, and just to prove their point, you know because it's true what everybody says. The game is completely watered down, and it comes from all angles of the causa, from Southsiders all the way up the ladder. Yeah, I thought I'd share this little story with you, just to show respect to this viewer that's always been commenting since day one about the recordings I sent out. It's the one thing that I could tell you, that I had around since with camaradas from Sanford, and it was behind them, and their broncas they had with each other, and how they basically they pissed off Smokey from BNE, and basically how Mosca was able to get up in there and put his 2 cents in and profit from it, not caring about nor the camaradas nor his brother in the movement. It just goes to show how they were viewing things amongst each other too. But I just wanted to share with you this story, and I wanted to apologize too, if this saying like one of my greatest stories, you know, please forgive me. It's just one of those days, I have a lot more bad days than I have good, and today's a terrible day. I go out tomorrow to speak with doctors, so hope something positive comes out from it, But again, if I sound in any way, you know, not my normal self, then it is why I stated, just forgive me on it, I don't know if you guys can notice on my voice as I speak, but it's real hard to catch my breath. So, but I'm trying. I just thought I wanted to share this with you. I also wanted to answer a couple comments that I wanted to make sure I touched on this recording, just to make things clear. Like there was some other comments stated. I'm sorry I don't have my notes with me, but he basically asked if I was ever put up or that I get tried to get made into a carnal, and just to make it clear, first from my angle, not ever did I ever consider or aspired or try to become something more than a sureño. I like I stated, I come from Northern California, and that's what I always been. Been a sureño on the streets, and when in the system, I continue to be what I started to be. So I never aspired to be anything else. And two, I never got asked. The one thing I did that you could say it was considered to be worthy of was the thing in Corcoran, but at the same time there was a lot of pillies that even though they couldn't push on it due to the proper thing or the proper channels were addressed and were given permission, they were still not okay with it, so I would have gotten shot down. And after that, like on the drug thing and everything, like I don't know if you've seen that every time it was like I wasn't trying to gain anything, it was helping out my familia with their thing and at the same time getting something good going for the Billies, So, no, to answer your question, no, I was never put up or anything in that area, I was a camarada, and that's what I always was throughout my whole term and my whole messing with them. But again, you know, mil disculpas, and I will be getting on there and to answer you guys' questions pretty soon. I have them all written down, and I will address every single one of them. So, with this said, I want to let you guys rest for today. Como siempre, muchísimas gracias for all you guys' prayers. I highly, highly appreciate you guys and for all the kind words you guys put on your comments. Um, just do know I'm one of the ones that that puts likes on your comments, even though I can't put an answer, out there like that. But I do read them and I will address them. I appreciate every one of them. You know, I seen also a comment somebody had basically had weren't in the agreement with the homie Triste's video I put out. I understand. Not everybody is to agree. On what I put out there. At the end of the day, you stated you're in the mix. I respect that. But with all due respect, just by your comment or commenting on something you're not supposed to, I could tell you're not in the mix or you haven't been in the mix. Period. You know, I was in it for over 20 years, man, and I could just for the type of conversation you bring up, I could tell you have an issue against a camarada, which is none of my business. And I'm not here to please you. I stated over and over on my videos, if you're active and you're still wiggling, tie your shoes on, run and handle it. You know, my message ain't for you, period. And I'm not gonna get into this addressing negative comments, cause you know I ain't on here for that. My time is not gonna be very long on here, regardless. I'm on here to tell my story and thank everybody, introduce myself, and just get on. Cause only God knows what's gonna happen, but you know. So I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do this or that, but with all due respect, when you put on a comment, when you're contradicting something I say, my respects to it, but put it so that it makes sense, Because in your comment, one moment you're saying, Tris is a tweaker, then you're saying he's been around, he's down, this and that, and you start off though by saying he was never made and that he has never even been put up, okay? But then you finish your statement by saying that when he did get put up, he got shot down due to reckless politics. So make up your mind, please. But I'm sorry I addressed this publicly, but I just thought it was needed to be addressed. If you're active and you're doing your thing, I stated it over and over. I ain't on here to spread poison. I'm on here to tell my story, and for those that have not been or have not started doing this. But again, mi gente, muchísimas gracias por todo. For your comentarios, for your cordiales palabras. I do appreciate everyone. And and if this wasn't one of my best stories, I know you guys can hear it in my breathing. And I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. And gracias again. As I always state in every video, I hope you know stay true to yourself and value your family always. Muy buenas noches. Gracias.